my boy, Blue!
Welcome to the Built After Hours podcast, hosted by industry expert Edwin Eaton, where we talk with the bold entrepreneurs who built their service businesses after the world clocked out. Real talk, real risk, real results. Let's get into it.
Shake it back!
Welcome back to the Built After Hour podcast, season 2. I'm your host, Edwin Eaton, and normally I'd have a cleaning company business owner on here, but today I'm switching it up with someone who's grinding after hours and literally building something that will set the world on fire. He's popped up on multiple reality TV shows, but the one that put him on the map was this little show. You may have heard of it. It's got Mark Cuban, Mr. Wonderful, Damon John, Lori. Yeah, that's right. The Shark Tank. Welcome to the show, the Chief Eruption Officer of LavaBox, my guest, Mr. Josh Thurmond. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I'm so excited. Excited to be with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, you and I, we met in good old Tulsa, Oklahoma back in February. You and I were part of a reality TV show called The Blocks. And
yes, sir.
For people that don't know what The Blocks is, it's the largest competition TV show on the planet for business startups. And I think you and I were part of season 21?
I believe so. I can't wait to see it air. I want to.
I'm excited. But, the crazy thing is I talked about it in the intro. You were on Shark Tank. And so we're going to talk about that. But I got to see you in action at the Blocks. And I mean, you just absolutely killed it. And it was just awesome for me to meet you there and then see what you were doing and me with the startup for Cinch and to, pick your brain and get information from you was great. It was awesome.
I felt the same way. Everybody there I thought was just spectacular. Didn't you? I mean, I just thought it was just a cool melding of so many smart entrepreneurial minds and just people coming together to do really cool things. I loved that. I was actually in Tulsa last week.
You were?
Driving. Yeah, I was driving through and it took all my energy not to go back to the Osage.
Right.
See, I think they were shooting an episode or shooting a season. So I was like, I'll just pop in. But yeah, what a cool experience, right?
It was. And I think we had everybody from, I think rumors were there was a high school student that was there all the way up to people in their 70s and just nuts, but awesome people to meet.
Impressive people. Yeah, just unbelievable.
So for people that don't know you, if they haven't seen you on Shark Tank, they don't know what LavaBox is. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't always been an entrepreneur, but I started LavaBox in 2020, and it is a portable campfire. So, I live in Denver. I'm coming to you live from Denver from LavaBox HQ here. And there's nobody here. Mondays are quiet. People don't like working Mondays, so we don't work on Mondays. Best part about being an entrepreneur is just you get to make the rules. But
right.
LavaBox started because I needed something that was going to pass the fire bans in the West. So for those of the East Coast listeners, it doesn't always apply to you, but we have big fire bans. You see them on the national news where we have these huge wildfires. I wanted to do something about that. My whole life has been about service and working to help others and to help the environment. And so I said, man, I can make something that's going to pass the fire ban, be safer to use in the wilderness, and be better, actually a better product than what was out on the market at the time. So I was on a camping trip. They said, maybe there were a few drinks. I don't know.
Sure.
But they said, I've always been a tinkerer. I was like, Josh, make something that's better than this fire pit we have now. I said, all right, I will. And home built 7 prototypes, and lucky number 7 was the one I liked the best. Put it out on a website, sold 40 in about a week, made the next 1,000 in my garage, and now we've made 20,000. We have over 60 stores, and it's just taken off. And of course, this is a small ammo can style fire pit. It makes about 280,000 BTUs. So in just layman's terms, that's a 4-foot tall fire comes out of this little box, and it's really a cool product. And now we've added in tons of great accessories. There's also a dual burner system now, so you can fully cook on it. It's a really cool, complete system, and it's really just what I wanted, Edwin. We live our whole lives outside, our family, and I just wanted something that was going to be good for us, that was safe for the environment, that was safe to use all the time, and that's how it came to be.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, 7 different prototypes, and you went with the 7th one. You put that out there and you sold 40 of them just like that.
Like that. I mean, like in a week. I didn't mean to. So I'm in a lot of, I used to sit on the board for the Colorado Whitewater Association. And for the listeners who are out there grinding, I can't express how important it is to be part of the community out there. You know, being in those community civic groups, like a group like the Colorado Whitewater Association, whatever the group is for you. But I think making those connections is really important. And of course, I put it out there, showed everybody, and then they said, "Man, I want that thing." So it was a instant group that I could relate to, knew all the people, and they wanted to support me just like they do support you, Edwin. And I think that's a big piece of it. And so yeah, I put it out there. First 40 were like instant. Of course, we made a huge mistake. We used the wrong cans. First 40, I think I recalled all of them. I had to put out new ones, but yeah, we made it happen, and it was a crazy first 5 or 6 months of just total craziness. I didn't expect it to ever happen that way.
And it's an amazing product. And if you haven't got it, the website is lavabox.com, right?
Fireanytime.com.
Or fireanytime.com.
I'm still fighting over lavabox.com. You won't believe it.
I remember hearing about that. But we'll put the website in the show notes. But I picked one up for myself. My son loves to camp, and so I got him one. And a pretty cool thing that you can do is you guys can put company logos. You can put anything on those fireboxes.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, when I saw your son's face when he got the LavaBox, was like, that's my favorite thing. That's the best
he was
part.
Ecstatic. Yeah,
he was.
I mean, just
he
to
was.
get those,
it was awesome.
And I see your Instagram,
that.
and you get a lot of those on there too. So do you get a lot of your customers sending you videos of just how cool that is?
So I think we all have competitors. I think one thing that makes us stand apart is that we have a cult-like following, and people send us videos all the time because they just enjoy the product. They know we're trying to make the world a better place, and so we use almost all user-generated content, which is something that is just like gold. I mean, I don't. People spend so much money build up this very professional looking or maybe very polished social media, and I kind of go the other direction. I think the polish is good, but I also like to feature our customers.
Yeah, it's like you're telling a story, but they're telling it for you.
That's right, and I love doing that with them. Because they come to the trade shows and they hang out at the booth, and we all have a great time. And they tell me stories about how they're using the LavaBox, and I learn about them. And that's been like one of my favorite things about LavaBox is just the people is what I want to hone in on. It's cool.
Awesome.
It's cool to hear their stories. And some of these boxes have been like to 22 countries. I mean, it's crazy, man. They got these crazy overland vehicles, badass Toyotas with incredible builds, and they drive them to Central America to Tierra del Fuego. I mean, people have gone all the way to the end of South America and brought it back and send me pictures of it. It's awesome. I mean, it's like a crazy thing.
That is awesome. That is, I'd love to get those all the time and to be able to post those again and have them tell your story for you. That's amazing.
It is very cool.
Obviously you didn't just all of a sudden say, I'm going to become the Chief Eruption Officer of LavaBox, right? So before LavaBox, what were you doing? Because this show is about cleaning business owners, and some of them that have 9-to-5 jobs, right? And so they're grinding, trying to build something at night for a better life or, generational wealth or whatever it may be. But what did you do before it to transition into where you're at now?
I'll even back up a little further because it is, I think a lot of folks think it's like you have one thing and that's the one thing, you shoot your shot and that's it. I've actually missed a bunch of times. My first big thing that I put out in the world was a piece of software in 1990. I want to say 8. I tried to push out a piece of software for OnStar. I'm sure you're familiar with the OnStar on site, and then originally they were doing a partnership with Ford, and so I was pitching a piece of software I developed. My regular grind was, I think at the time, I was working expedition work with National Geographic and teaching like snowboarding and raft guiding, and that was my life. And then on the other side, I was trying to invent this product. Unfortunately, I didn't protect it, and Ford used it right away, took it away, and never paid me for it. I've tried launching other products. I've written treatments for TV shows, all kinds of crazy stuff. Right before LavaBox, I was working at the National Sports Center for the Disabled. I've always worked in the outdoor industry. And so I used to design programs for people with disabilities, also working with Paralympic athletes, and then all the way to folks with Down syndrome who were looking to get outside and have a good time. So that was my full-time job. I had to keep that job for a while, to be honest. Definitely grinding on both ends, which I'm used to. I think if you're in this world, and I know you're the same, if you're in this world, this is just how we are. I mean, and I think it's hard for people to totally understand that. I know my wife took a second because she's a 9-to-5er, always has been. And I'm just I want it all. I want to grind. I don't mind grinding on both ends, and just doing it all. So I had a full-time gig at the National Sports Center for the Disabled, which I love. People always say, oh man, you must have been so happy to quit your job and all stuff. I actually really liked my job before LavaBox, but LavaBox is fantastic. And of course I can't go back. I always knew I'd never go back if I ever found the one.
Sure,
and
sure.
I finally found one. Now I've found like 8 others, but finding that first one is a big leap,
But you're all about the outdoors. You've got that where you're at. I mean, LavaBox, that's you, right? You're the outdoors guys, and this is what you got. Yeah, I mean that's just amazing. But I'm sure that you still loved what you did previous to this too.
I did, and I always think about it like writers. I always say write about what you know about. I built a business about what I know about. Instead of spending time trying to break into something I don't understand, which I did try a couple times. I was like, I just had an idea, but it wasn't. Sure. It wasn't intrinsic. It wasn't the part of me that like I really like. It's stuff I don't know if I would have stuck with. LavaBox, I enjoy writing all the copy. I enjoy going out and testing the products. I enjoy all of those pieces. I really enjoy seeing people at campsites and using the product. I mean, this feeling. It's the coolest feeling when you see your product in the world and people are enjoying it. And that's how it all really got started. And I never really looked back, to be honest. People always ask me to come in and consult. I did a lot of work in the outdoor space, building programs for people with disabilities. And people, of course, are always like, hey, can you come back and help us with this? And
no, I'm good.
I will a little, but it's hard to take my eye off the prize, to be honest,
sure.
And do something else, even something I enjoy.
So, you went through the 7 prototypes. Talk about the early grind in those first weeks, those first few months. Like, what did a typical day look like for you? Because again, from the cleaning industry, you get a lot of people working the 9-to-5s and then working at night, and they're not sleeping and they're turning around and going back to their daytime job. So there's some similarities, even though you're selling a actual product, but what were those early weeks and months like for you?
So you would be maybe surprised how similar they are, because I'm building a lot of product overseas. And so I work all day and all night. Most of the folks I'm talking to in Vietnam and China and Thailand, they're all up. And so we're working all night long. So a lot of my nights were up till 2 a.m., sleep for a few hours, go back, build boxes. Because I literally, you're not going to believe this, like I said, I built the first 1,000 in my garage, and those were all handmade. So every burner I made.
Just you, nobody else.
Wow. Nobody else. Yeah. So literally making every burner inside, drilling all the holes. I got a big drill press because I started off with like, I don't know, $400. I didn't have any money. I worked at a nonprofit. My wife works for the city. So it really was drilling holes with a drill press that I bought at Harbor Freight.
You tinker around with things. And so is that why you decided to become an entrepreneur? Because somebody, maybe had an idea and it just stuck in your head and you thought maybe you could make a business out of it?
I've always wanted to be. My parents both are. So my mom started a school that ended up being a K through 8th grade school that was wildly successful. Still, she's retired a long time ago, but it's still running. And then my dad started a training company, and it was, and both kind of educators. I kind of lived in the same space, but I had every job before this. I actually have a degree in culinary arts. I was a chef for a long time. I've always just kind of, I did property management. I've done every job you can imagine. I've shoveled a lot of shit.
But what's funny is all these jobs that you've done, you've learned something from every single one of them that you brought into. At least for me, that's the same way. Is I brought 100%. Some kind of skill set. I've learned some kind of skill set from each of those jobs that I've worked.
I think about that all the time. It's such I would love to hear like all the different jobs you've had, because I want to hear how it all culminated. This is something I always ask people, because I'm curious too, because you can't imagine all the things that are going to come together when it's time. So I did a bunch of writing when I took a job. So really weird. This was a weird job to take, but I took a job at the DA's office, the district attorney's office in Denver, because my wife was working. She works at the crime laboratory, in the forensic laboratory. And so I was like, man, I would take this job, and I started doing some writing for the DA, and I became a better writer. All that writing translated to, I write all the copy for the website, and people love the website. You got to go on the website because it is funny. It's a really funny website. So I got to, that was a weird piece that I was never a writer, never thought I'd be a writer. And so that happened there. And then, of course, all of the building and pieces and things I'd make, that all culminated, of course, having to fix stuff for like working in the property management world, having to fix stuff constantly, learn how to do this, do that, plumbing, that kind of stuff. All that came together to make LavaBox. So it is a culmination of all of our ideas.
So what
Yeah,
about the
baby.
sticker? Because I got the sticker. Is that your genius that came out of your mind to
It
do
is.
that?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. So I do a lot of the art, almost all of it. I have one guy I actually contract who does a lot of the coloring and stuff for me. But yeah, it's pretty fantastic to be able to. I did a ton of stuff. Like I had to learn how to do a bunch of CAD work, and so for another job, and that of course translated directly into building out the designs that we use for manufacturing. So it really was, once again, like I said, you write about what you know, and it's the same thing for, you have a company that is built off your previous knowledge. I think I'm always surprised when I hear somebody who's like, I've never done this before. And like, it's something so far afield of what their whole life was about. And you're like, why? That's and I hope they make it, of course. I mean, I always want to see entrepreneurs make it, but it's always interesting to me to talk to somebody, because I ask the same question. I'm like, tell me about what you did before. Like, is it, what got you here? And some people were like, I just wanted to do this. I saw that it was it was a franchise I thought I could do, and I did it, and or I'm trying to do it. And I always think that's interesting to me. I don't think it's bad or good. I think it's just kind of like an interesting choice to go into something you've never done. Like I would never. Right. I'm not sure I would open a law firm. I might open a McDonald's. Right. I'm not trying to open a law firm, or a car wash. I don't know.
Yeah. Crazy. Anyway. But yeah, again, I mean, we just learn, we pick up little skill sets along the way, which, molds us into who we are now. But you're 24/7, you're international, you're grinding day in, day out. Like, do you even sleep?
I never slept a lot before. Like I said, as funny as it sounds, and I don't mean this in a egotistical way, I'm just built to do this, like straight up built to do it.
You're wired differently.
I'm wired to do this. I don't know if it's different or better or worse. I assume you're the same way, but I'm wired to do this. Like I don't mind taking a customer service call at 12 p.m. I don't care. I'm wired to go out and do this job. I've always been this way. They're always like, everyone always asks me for my whole life, when do you sleep? And I'm like, I don't need to. Let's go. Let's do something. Let's do the next thing. Yeah. And the best part is that if you're that kind of person and you don't mind the grind, man, you get to own the world. You don't have bosses and masters anymore. It's like totally different. I wish I'm old now. God, I wish I had hit it a little earlier or just tried something else. Like I think
we all say that, don't we?
Right. I mean, I'm 49 and I kept trying. I tried, like I said, in the 90s. So I missed a bunch of times, but I always knew this was the right thing,
So, another question for you, because you and I were on The Blocks, the TV show. In a way, it almost felt like a normal working day. I mean, what they put us through. We'd learn something in the morning for a few hours, and then we'd cut off into our little groups, and then they'd give us a certain amount of time to write up a pitch. And I mean, high pressure situations from 8 in until sometimes midnight.
I loved it.
Yeah. I was going to say, what were your takeaways from that show? I mean, it was to me, it was just, you were getting grilled and grilled and grilled, but I mean, in a good way.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I learned a ton. I thought it was really useful. I learned a ton, not only from Wes and from the show, but I also learned a ton from you guys, like from everybody on the show, just talking to everybody. That's why I went there to talk to everyone. There was a very intentional piece to kind of get to know as many people as I could and learn what had worked for them. I tell my kids all the time that everybody knows something you don't know. And I try to remind them that they, no matter if you don't like that person or you think they're stupid or whatever this crazy thing is, they know something you don't know, and your job is to understand them and understand that thing that they could teach you. And I hope that has worked. I don't know. I hope they ask questions and talk to people. This is why I'm always uncomfortable with this format, because I feel like I want to ask you questions.
Yeah, right.
But I thought the show in general, the way the format for me was perfect. In fact, I had no problem going back after our 15-hour day and then working, through the night on the business, because I had to. I keep our labor very lean. In fact, I try to right now. I don't know if you knew it or not, but the whole shop is run by people with disabilities, and so everything has to be really organized, very, very clear, very rote. They have to be able to go in and it has to be the same every time because, I work with a lot of folks with Down syndrome, like I said, or autism. And so things have to be what we call social stories, things that are very clear. And so I try to keep the staffing down. And so being at the show was easy for me. I said, everybody's off this week. I'll run the whole business, by myself for that week after I do the show. And it was great. There's no problem. I loved it. That's why I had to not drink too many beers at night.
Yeah, right.
I had to focus.
Well, and looking at your social medias posts too. I mean, there's some videos that you do with some of the workers you have in the warehouse, and those are pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it's just my people. I was always disappointed and I grew up in special education, full transparency. Honestly, everyone told me I wasn't going to be anything. They're like, you can be a cook. And that's why I became a cook. I mean, they said, oh, you can cook and work at a restaurant or something. That's a good job for you. And there's zero wrong with being a cook. I mean, I am one. But I don't know if you can listen to these people. And I always wanted to provide the opportunities that people just were like, you're not going to get to do this. And I'm like, but I'm smart. I can do it. And they didn't listen. And so I want to be able to listen to these folks and give them that job and have them come in and work and feel that value in their life, because
that's amazing.
It means a lot. It means a lot to me to make sure that they feel like they can work and be here and be part of something. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but it's real.
Not at all.
These folks.
It's very cool. It's very cool that you're doing that and you're giving them an opportunity and you're teaching them a skill set too.
Yeah. These guys, in most states, people with disabilities, flush out of high school at 21, have almost no job skills, have no placement, nowhere to go. You see them at the grocery store, you see them at different places like that, but they've never had an opportunity. A lot of folks don't have the opportunity to really get in and actually learn those social skills that it takes to have a job. And because they've been in high school until 21, and then it's just, all right, now go. And the poor parents are at a tough spot because they're like, now what do I do? Do I have the kid home all the time? They're now a young adult. And so I'm really stoked to be able to have them come to the shop, work at the shop, learn some skills. I mean, learn simple things, punching the clock, figuring out how to manage their time. Getting a paycheck feels good, right? I mean, like all that stuff. So,
well, props to you for giving them that opportunity. That's just amazing that you're doing that.
As a low bar, as easy.
Well, hey, before we jump into talking about this little show that you're on called Shark Tank, you and I talked earlier, and I like to play games on the show. So you down to start the segment off first with starting with a little game?
Of course.
All right. All right. Well, this first segment is called Campfire Confessions. I renamed it for LavaBox here.
Oh,
so
God.
Before we do that, I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsor. So Campfire Confessions is brought to you by DLN Web Studio. If your website is basic AF, if you're losing customers fast, DLN Web Studio is the go-to for professional businesses that want to stand out. From pixel perfect websites to killer marketing materials, logos, and more, trust the pros to lock in more customers. Ready to upgrade your online game? Head to dlnwebstudio.com. So Josh, this part of the show I like to call Campfire Confessions. So this is an opportunity for you to share a story about you or your business that maybe no one has ever heard before, or maybe a hidden talent that not many people know about. So are you willing to share something with us?
Oh, man. Sure. All right. I do have a good one. So we were talking about like the cumulative life experience that come with getting to the point where you're finally have your business and things are coming together. And something people don't know about me because they see me as this kind of big, rugged outdoors guy. And they should know that I was in show choir.
Show choir. Okay.
That's the reaction.
I wouldn't have pinned you for that. No.
I know. It's very weird. So I played football in high school, baseball, that stuff. But I really liked being in the show choir. And it made me who I am. And I don't always embrace it because it's always surprises people. But I love to sing and dance. And it was kind of a strange thing. So I was in show choir all the way through. Have a letter, have the pin on for my letterman jacket of show choir. And It was always, linebacker and show choir. So there's my confession. I don't think I've ever told anybody publicly.
Well, now it's going to be out there. That just reminded me of the movie American Pie, with Stifler and them, and one of the guys is a singer, and yeah.
I loved it. I had so much fun, and we went to the mall and performed for Christmas, Jingle Bell Rock kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, hey, there you go. It's another skill set. It's another skill set you learn for LavaBox, right? So maybe you'll do a little.
I told you that, Edwin. I'm all red faced, embarrassed. Jeez, Louise.
Well, we can always edit it. We'll see.
That stays in, I think.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
It was fun.
So let's dive into this Shark Tank thing. I'm sure the listeners are dying to hear about this. So, first question, how did you get on the show? Did you apply for it and then all of a sudden you got the call?
It is an incredibly laborious thing. For those of you trying to get on the show, just prepare, because it's like a whole nother job. And once again, I don't mind. I did the same thing. I had a kid, and I love being busy. So I had my first kid, moved into a new house, had a full-time job, and went to I went to school full-time for my master's all at the same time. So I don't mind being that. And I actually had a small business then too called Oratus, where I designed speech, presentation materials. And so I had I love that kind of pressure. It's the best. But so early on, people knocked us off. Happens in my world, especially in product. People see a cool product. I had patents in place this time, and they still knocked it off. And I said, oh man, I said, what if I want to sue you? And they said, go for it. And of course, I don't have the money to sue anybody. I got some very good advice for those of you who are listening and are curious about this. I got some great advice from a friend who said, if somebody knocks you off, maybe you just beat him in the marketplace, because he spent $1 million fighting one of his lawsuits, and he won, but he lost $1 million. And so that's $1 million he could have put into advertising, into labor, into whatever else, into COGS, anything else besides, fighting a worthless lawsuit. But anyway, I started to digress. So I got knocked off early, and I was like, man, how do I level the playing field? This was a big brand, REI brand, I said, God, I don't, and I so naive. I didn't know that this even happened. I thought everybody's cool in the outdoor industry. They are not. They're ready to fight, but I'm ready to fight. So it was okay. And so I said, all right, let's figure this out. I need to get more exposure. How fast can I get exposure? What's the best way? And I love Shark Tank. Everybody, I think, knows that I'm a big fan of the show. And so I wrote to them, and I'll be honest with you, I had about $30,000 in sales of all time. So I sent in my application. I sent in a video, and I'm a big whitewater kayaker. Like I said, I like high pressure, high danger things. And so I sent in a video of me, dropping off a waterfall and see you on the river, sharks kind of thing. And it was really funny. And they immediately said, we're not interested when they saw my sales.
Oh, really?
But they said they did.
But how long had you been in business when you started that? You said you were at 30,000.
About 7 months.
Okay.
So it wasn't bad for 7 months.
No, not at all.
As a brand new business, but we weren't there yet. So they said, but they said, we really want to talk to you next year for next season and see where you're at. And I said, great, let's do it. By the time next year rolled around, we had cracked 7 figures and we were a real business. And now they were excited to have us on the show. But I will tell you, there's never a guarantee, and they'll tell you the exact same thing. 60,000 people apply, less than 100 get on the show. It is intense. It is real. All of that part of Shark Tank is exactly what you think it is. Like, it's a pressure cooker, real deal. Talk about pressure from our show we were on. Shark Tank is definitely a little more pressure. I can only
imagine that.
It is intense, and they remind you constantly. I'm not exposing anything here. You never know if it's going to air. If you'll air. I mean, there are people who go all the way to LA, film the show, and never air. So it's a big leap, and I think probably a lot of your listeners are already kind of comfortable with taking some big leaps, but this one is a big one because you spend an entire year of your life getting ready and you still don't know if it's going to air. But I always thought I always thought it was worth it, that there was going to be something at the end. And to be fair, it's a product that's great for TV. And I pitched it to them that way. I said, man, this is something that you've never had on television. It looks crazy. It's gonna look amazing on television. You got to have me on for that. And I'm good on TV. Let's go. So I really sold it hard. So after the year, they said, all right, come back and let's talk. I had to do a bunch of other audition tapes, that kind of stuff. finally got the word that I was going to be able to, maybe be on the show. Like I said, they never guarantee it.
So what's that feeling? So that's like a whole year of waiting. You get that call and they tell you maybe you'll be on the show.
It's brutal. It's really tough, man. Cause I was just about to say, I spend months prepping. I wasn't going to be the guy who made that face where like, what? I didn't want to make
what's your customer acquisition cost?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to be that guy. So I was so ready. I can't even tell you how ready I was. My team, every time I walked in, grilled me, gave me questions, gave me do your pitch, I can do my pitch right now to you. No problem. It's 1 minute, 31 seconds. I can do it exactly how I did it on the show. I mean, it is something that became absolutely ironed and indelible in my brain, but you had to be that way, right? You don't want to walk out there and be the ding dong who doesn't know the answers and doesn't have a good pitch. And so I didn't want to be that guy. I don't think it's endearing. I think it looks like you were lazy. And so I wasn't going to be that guy. And so had it down pat. They do fly you out to LA. I'll tell you a really quick funny story. It was they're really nice and they set you up a hotel and all that kind of stuff. I had to go get a propane tank. They didn't have a propane tank. And I was like, oh man, how do you not have a propane tank? This is so weird. And I said, where should I get one? And they're like, I don't know. And I said, well, I guess I'll go to Home Depot and buy a propane tank for Shark Tank, which seemed weird, but funny. So I'm as a mall, we were in Culver City and the Culver City Mall is right across the street from the hotel we were at. And I was coming out, I called an Uber. I'm coming out of the door of the hotel. All of a sudden, every cop in LA rolls up, guns drawn, as I'm walking out of the hotel room. Like, what is going on? And there's a dude who's like standing there on his phone. I pulled him aside, and I'm like, and the Uber guy pulls up and he's like, are they here for you? I said, no, I don't know what's going on. It turns out a guy who had just robbed a jewelry store at the mall across the street had run across and tried to run into the hotel. And so all the police were chasing him. Of course, it was crazy. And of course, the producers were so nice to me, but they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. It was just, I thought they were coming for me.
There's the guy standing there with the propane tank.
Right? Like, all the guns. So it was awesome. But finally got to get to go to the show. And of course, I screwed up right away. We drove by the lot where they have it's all the different lots on there. I've never even been to Hollywood, so I didn't know what any of it was going to be like. I'm a big Jeopardy fan, and I saw a huge picture. This is when Alex Trebek was still the host. Mm-hmm. Huge picture of Alex Trebek. I said, oh man, Jeopardy, that's my favorite show. The guy driving me around was like, it's not Shark Tank. I'm like, oh, Shark Tank's close, but Jeopardy is my favorite. So I'd already screwed up. I thought, this is doomed, but no, it was really great. They took good care of you. You definitely have some intensity. You don't know what's going to happen, but you do your pitch. Obviously, just like all shows, they film a bunch of shows at once. But yeah, I got in there and I think I charmed the pants off of them. You're in there for a long time. It cooks down to about 7 minutes for the actual show. And I got 4 offers. Should I tell?
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I was going to walk too, but I did have a quick question before you get into that, because I remember being on the blocks together. You get put into the green room in the back with just a handful of people and your nerves are just like racing. Cause it's like, oh no, what do you do? Was it kind of the same thing with you? Did they have other entrepreneurs back there, or is it just you and they were just getting you prepped and ready?
That's a great question. Nobody ever asked that, because no one else is on another reality show, In this case, we were all separated. And so we became friends. Like, we saw each other here and there, and all the other people who were going to pitch. And we all rode in a van together. So we kind of talked, and everyone was visibly nervous. One person was crying, and they were so freaked out. She was very freaked out. I felt pretty good, man. And they sequester you in each green room, and they call you in. I was in the morning, and the guys who I become friends with for another product, I won't mention what it is, but they got a deal. And so I was like, man, I was feeling good. There was some weird stuff, they had to get you ready for TV ready. So you have somebody steaming you, make sure your shirt's not too wrinkly in the front where you sat down. So it's a little awkward, like a steamer going at. I don't know what kind of show this is, so I won't make any jokes, but it was really funny to have all that happening. And then all of a sudden you're standing at that doorway and they say, this is it. We're going to count down and we're going to open those doors and you're going to have to walk out there and pitch. And there's no prep. There's no here's what's going to happen. It really is it's real. I think people don't know that it's actually real. There's no takes. I wanted to mention that. So there's no like do-overs. You walk out there and what you see on the show is real.
So what we saw in there, and if you haven't seen it, just YouTube, LavaBox, Shark Tank. But I mean, it's what, 7-9 minutes, something like that. That's unedited.
That's no. So you're in there for almost an hour.
Oh,
It's
wow.
edited down to 7 minutes. I know, kind of crazy, but
Wow.
everything you see is real. Like there's no like, hey, stop, say that again. All that stuff. Not like TV. It's real. They walk out and if you blow it, you blow it.
So you said something that your pitch, you could do it. It's what, 1 minute and 31 seconds or whatever it is. So that was the pitch, but then the rest of the time that was in there was just questions and Q&A kind of thing.
Correct. And I instantly hit it off with everybody. Like I felt really comfortable. I really wasn't, I mean, I don't mean to sound weird. I wasn't that nervous. I've always thought of people, everyone's the same. So I don't really think about rich people being better or worse or different, or I'm like deeply impressed by what they've accomplished, but I also know they're people, just
and
so
person.
Yeah. And so it wasn't that part wasn't weird. I think the cameras for me were very weird. It's like, this is wild to have all these people and all these cameras, and they shaved my nose hairs. They shaved my ear hairs. They're like, oh, I'm already nervous. It was like, you got to look good out there, and there's going to be a close up. And they trimmed up my beard and combed my hair. But it's a little nerve wracking, but then you walk out and they're just people, and they were nice people. If you know your shit and you got it real straight, I think you're good. I think you walk out there and you command the room. Just like I've pitched other things. And I think that just like our pitch for, if you go out there and pitch like you know what you're doing, and you do know what you're doing, right?
And like I said, I saw you in action. You're really good at what you do. Yeah. And you cannot tell that you're nervous, even if you're not. I mean, you're good. You're good at what you do. So
you too. Some of those folks you could definitely see were really nervous when we were in our group, but you could see the folks who are in their element there. It doesn't mean you have to be that way to be a great entrepreneur, but it doesn't hurt to be able to get in front of a group. And like I said, show choir.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't have told you that.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah, and I remember being in the green room with a bunch of people, and there was one gal that was crying and other people that were really nervous, and I'm just looking around and I'm like, holy crap, they're gonna break me. I'm gonna break down here and get nervous. Like, what is the big deal? Why are you crying? We're just gonna present in front of a group. But it was like, well, there's like 200 people out there.
Right.
But so now you did mention, the Shark Tank hosts, the people there, they're just normal people, but they're rich people, right? So did you go into this and did you have somebody already in mind that you wanted to partner with?
Yeah, I wanted Lori. So I think I'm allowed to say that, but I went in. I to be honest with you, I don't ever go. I'm one of those guys who practices everything I say, like in the shower the day, if I have to have a conversation with someone, they're definitely one of those people where I'm practicing all day of like, what am I going to say? What's it going to feel like? Making plans. And so I had a plan to get Lori on my team, and I stuck to the plan. In fact, if you watch the episode, you'll see I definitely had better offers.
You did. You did.
But I forsaked those offers to take Lori because I really thought she was the right match. It wasn't really about the money. It was more about the way she could place a small product, especially at our price point. And I thought it was all strategy. There wasn't really I knew Damon was a big outdoorsman, and actually Damon and I keep trying to figure out a way to work together to this day. Because we really enjoy each other. Just saw him at a trade show not that long ago. Came and visited me. But I really thought she was the right choice. And I still would have been terrific. It just didn't work out. But it was very strategic. And people, of course, online eviscerated me for not taking a better deal. Sure. But they don't understand. They clearly don't understand that I had a plan. And when I create a plan, I'm going to stick to it, and we're going to make it work. I could have been more flexible, but.
What was your ask?
My ask originally was $200,000 for 10%. So a valuation of $2 million. To be honest, that's definitely a low valuation for the company's worth, even at that time. But I really wanted to make a partner. I went in with a very earnest feeling like I need somebody to help me. You'll see it on the show. I wanted somebody that I could call up and at 9 o'clock at night and say, God, I got to make this tough choice. Which one should I do? You've been down this road. That's the only regret I have about Shark Tank is I didn't get that partner, to be honest.
I think you said you got 4 deals. So what were the deals looking like?
Yeah. So right out of the gate, I don't even know if I finished my initial pitch, and Mr. Wonderful was in. Kevin O'Leary was in at 20% for 200,000, and I of course said thank you, but I said I'm not taking that. Which is,
Everybody just looks the other way with him.
but man, you feel good. You feel good saying no right away. Like,
Sure.
all right, because once you get an offer, you're like, all right, I did it, I made it. That's the moment, and I, even though you're kind of like paralyzed in that, it's like a weird, liminal space between reality and whatever's happening to you right there. You're kind of like you're in a dream state out there because it's like it's so intense. Because I couldn't for a couple of days I didn't really remember what happened. To be honest, I was like, "Whoa, that was nuts! What just happened to me?" So Kevin comes in at that. Mark also, or not Mark. Who came in next?
Was it Damon?
I want to say Damon came in next, same offer, and then I think I got Mark or Daniel Lubetzky on from Kind Bar. He was on the roster too. Then Lori and I started talking. So Mark and I talked for a long time, but A, I had 4 sharks on, and B, he just doesn't go campy, and he didn't really understand how to help me. He was the biggest cheerleader for me. And you watch the show, he didn't think I really needed the help. I disagreed. I really thought I wanted to help, and I still to this day kind of thought I still wanted to help. But just somebody to tell me what to do occasionally, because you get tired of making all the choices. I don't know how you feel, but I make every call. And sometimes I want to be able to ask somebody else what they think.
Is it right? Is it wrong? Yeah.
Just bounce a few ideas off, and your spouse doesn't always, they don't know all the time. And that's not their fault. They're not in it like this. That's a hard thing about us being alone in the entrepreneurial space sometimes. Yeah. But anyway, and then I got forced Damon and Kevin down to my actual ask. Lori came in with a really weird offer, which was very out of character for her, with a royalty. I said, I don't care. I'll pay you the royalty. If it really has to be a royalty, it's only going to end up being, less than the 200,000. I'll give you the money back as soon as you want. We'll take, if that pulls the royalty away, and I want it to be 50 cents. And then of course, Mark harangued me about, tripping over 25 cents. And I'm like, well, still matters, still money. So I finally ended up picking Lori.
So Lori gave you an offer, a Mr. Wonderful type offer, right?
She did. I was really surprised. And like I said, I said, I don't really buy into the royalty world, but they cut a lot of this out. But I said, I'll meet you at that royalty, but I'll pay you back immediately, because I'm not going to have it just chase us around for a long time.
So can we talk about the partnership? Is it rolling?
Yeah. It's totally public. About a year later, because the show actually, not a year, but almost, we did due diligence for almost a year. I worked with her team. They were fantastic. Asked them a lot of questions. They bounced ideas off each other. And then we finally got to when it was time to cut the check. I know it sounds crazy. It was a year, but they just decided, and we kind of decided together, that it wasn't a great fit just for her marketing. And so we left on very, very, peaceful, amicable terms. Really enjoyed each other. I can still reach out to them like right now and ask them questions, cool, which has been great. And they've helped me with some things already. So it was people always ask, are you glad you did it? Hell yeah. It was amazing. It was just like, we're talking about it right now, and it was so cool. Like, I always think about peak life experiences for people. My whole life has been built around peak life experiences, right? As a guide, as somebody who wants to have you come to my restaurant and taste the best thing you've ever tasted, or remember this. This was a peak life experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the people. And I don't know, maybe I had a weird experience. I know people don't always have great experiences on Shark Tank. I had a great experience. So
well, you're a likable
it wasn't
guy.
The Kool-Aid. It wasn't bullshit. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you are going to get into Shark Tank, just know it's like a 2-year process that they're going to put you through, right?
And I was like, it's fun. And actually, I'll be honest, I've said it before, I didn't know what I was doing. So it was really great to have that piece of, like, they forced me to get organized, because there were a bunch of things I just didn't have. I didn't have buckets for these things yet. My finances needed to get fixed. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I'll say that really was fantastic is that now my business is ready to sell. I could take an offer now and walk away. I could take a new deal with somebody and scale up. So having the finances, having them force me into that discipline was very, very useful. And I think the same thing about what we did, with the blocks. I think having somebody say, this is where you need to be disciplined, I thought that was great. And I think you have to be an open person to listen to, you have to be open to listening to people.
Yeah. I mean, we just learn and you grow as an entrepreneur, you grow as a business owner, and you figure things out. Now you're in a perfect spot. If you want to sell, you can do it. You want to take on partners, you can do it too.
That's right. That was huge. Cause I think people really go into it. You really don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
I say that all the time. I feel like there was so many things I did and so many things I still don't know, but God, I didn't know a lot of stuff, and I still jumped in because we're crazy.
Right. That is crazy.
Because we're nuts.
So were there any, because we don't see it, right? You said you were in there for an hour, but it's only 7 or 9 minutes. Were there any funny or awkward off camera moments that never made it on the final edit?
I mean, I can't really talk about some of that stuff, but I think there was definitely a couple of things that were pretty funny. I just say what I say, and I think that they were kind of prepared for that. But yeah, it was. They definitely edited out some funny things. Once again, I was very careful not to make the I don't know shit face.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? So I didn't have those moments. I definitely might have cursed. I might have said something off color. I say things like that sometimes. So that's all.
Just you being you, right?
I wasn't nervous. So I was just having fun, and they were having fun. We all had a really good time. So that's
cool.
I will say one funny thing that wasn't on camera that you will like, I think. But so at the end of the show, first of all, they didn't show up, but Damon said, "You're dead to me." I didn't take a deal with it. I don't think it's on the show. I've only watched it a couple of times.
I don't think it is. I didn't hear it.
Yeah. So I'm walking out and he's like, "You're dead to me, Thurmond." And then right after that, one of his guys runs up and was like, "Hey, Mr. John would like one more LavaBox. Could you take home one of the big ones?" And I said, "Yeah, you can buy it on my website." That kid's jaw hit the floor. He was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. Of course you can have a LavaBox." Jeez. And I gave all the LavaBox. I gave everything we brought there. I actually gave it all to the crew.
That's cool.
So that was really fun. I was stoked to do that. I didn't want to take it home. They really everyone was so excited about the product that I just let everybody keep everything we brought. So awesome. Kind of a fun story. But
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But there is, I think I've heard there's a thing called the Shark Tank effect. Once your episode hits. So did your business change after the first 24 hours after your show aired?
For sure. So we sold almost a month's worth of product at that time in like 48 hours, wow. Which was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. And that was our biggest year to date, actually, because of that. So big time Shark Tank effect. And then every time there's a re-airing of the show, we see a bump, we see a spike, people calling in, asking why we don't give a lighter anymore in the product. Because I say a lighter on the show and they're always like, "Where's my lighter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, unfortunately I went on the show and the post office was like, you can't ship lighters." So they outed me on my lighter situation. But it was, I see the effects all the time. And the weirdest one is that I'll be at like an airport or something and someone will be like, "I know you," or "I saw you on Shark Tank," which is even weirder. That is a weird thing. I'm still not used to it. It happened to me on a river trip, strangely, just the other day. I was running some friends down the river and no, it was weird. It's always weird. But, at trade shows, people take pictures with me, which is really cool. They're big fans of the show. They re-air our episode a lot. And so just because it's fun and it's explosive and exciting. And it's one of the highest watched episodes of all time. So it's popular. And people stop me in the airport and they're like, "I know you." I'm always hoping it's a hot chick. It's not always. In fact, it never is. No, it's great. It's really cool, and I feel super honored. It's just always awkward.
Well, you're a humble guy, so but I mean, I'm sure it still feels good too.
It's weird. But I'm always, like I said, it's always nice to meet somebody who's into it, and they're like, "I own a LavaBox." That's the best part. Once again, that is still the best part, is people walking up and be like, "You're a LavaBox guy, and I have a LavaBox, and I love it." And I'm like, man, that's the one. That's the good stuff.
That's awesome. Once in a lifetime opportunity and a lifetime of memories and stories to tell with this.
Totally. What else do you do with your life?
Right.
Build those peak experiences.
Right. So, hey, Josh, this brings us to the final segment of the show. And I like to call this segment Rapid Fire Roulette.
Let's go.
But before we jump into this, I need to give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. So Rapid Fire Roulette is brought to you by Wildscape Media. Does your cleaning business need a social media glow up or a pro commercial that makes folks go, damn, that company is badass? Meet the dynamic husband and wife duo who'll jet anywhere to capture your story in epic style. Ready to stand out and turn heads? Hit up wildscapemedia.com and let Wildscape Media paint your brand in bold. So Josh, Rapid Fire Roulette. I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you're going to get 3 seconds to give me a quick answer. All right?
All right.
So you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Camping under the stars or a beachfront bonfire?
Camping under the stars.
One app on your phone you can't live without?
My calorie counter.
Oh, wow. Okay. Haven't heard that one, but okay, we'll go with it. The next one is your go-to hype song.
It's Roll Out by Ludacris.
There you go. Did you actually listen to that before you got ready for
Hell
Shark
yeah,
Tank?
I did.
Yes. So what's your dream vacation spot?
Yeah, my dream vacation spot is, I actually live it, man. I love doing vacations right in Colorado. The U.S. is a paradise. There's millions of things to see and do, and so I love being in like the heart of it. And so I can go and drive 3 hours and be in somewhere I've never seen before and do things I've never done before. So my dream vacation spot is Colorado, baby.
Yep, good answer. Good answer. So final question, and maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't. Favorite Shark Tank judge? And you can plead the 5th if you want.
I better, just in case. That's a tough question, Edwin. You can't do that to me.
Sorry. We'll edit that one out, okay? No, I appreciate you playing the show. I just like to change it up a little bit and have some fun. So
that's spicy.
Listen, before we close out, just a couple more questions for you. This has been an awesome show, and again, loved having you on. But what's on the horizon for LavaBox, for the end of this year and leading into 2026?
Yeah, we're about to launch a really cool product called the Daddy Long Leg. It's a new product to facilitate more cooking. That's a piece of the business you're going to see really accelerate is that part of it. And then our other big push right now is to really own Colorado. Of course, you mentioned it earlier, but I really pushed out. We drove our business out into the larger North American market, and I think I wish I had just stayed a little more home base, to be honest. So we're going to really focus on Colorado, push out these new products, and just see how that takes. I've got a couple other businesses that are close to launch. As usual, I can't do one thing, so I've got a couple neat projects coming up. Both I can't really talk about, but they are really cool. I will say that.
Looking forward to it.
You'll see those. Maybe I'll go back on Shark Tank, but that's exciting. Yeah, once you get a taste, right, you can't go back. So those 2 are coming out pretty soon, and that's what's happening in my world. LavaBox, I think we'll be looking for either another large scale investment, which right now I own 100% of the company, and I've bootstrapped the entire thing. But we'll either look at that, or we'll look at rolling off and giving somebody else an opportunity to run the business. So, don't know yet.
Very cool. It's cool that you've bootstrapped it up to this point, all on your own. That's amazing. So you've done a lot, from Shark Tank, other reality shows. You're grinding, you're bootstrapping this thing. You've got new ideas coming you can't talk about just yet. But do you have any advice for entrepreneurs about taking that big first risk? Because a lot of us are doing it, and there's a lot of people out there that give advice that haven't actually been in the shoes that we're in. And you're living proof of taking a risk and good things can happen. Any advice for those entrepreneurs looking at that first big risk?
Yeah, I think, there's all the cliche things about, don't give up and all that garbage. That's all real. Don't give up. But I think the big one is make sure you get your team around you, start to build that community. Cause I think I couldn't have done this without community, understand, talk to yourself, in a non-crazy way, about what's really important to you, why you want to open a business, and what kind of community response you're going to have. Although I didn't have a friends and family, round to start my business, a lot of folks do, and they don't consider what it's going to take, because it does still take a village. People are like, oh, I did it myself. Bullshit. You didn't. My wife was there. My team was there. My friends were there. My colleagues at the National Sports Center for the Disabled, or, at the Colorado Whitewater Association, they were all there for me. And I think it's important to do an analysis of that and then take the leap and know your first audience, the most important, your friends, and your family. And so I think people just go, man, I'm going to do this on my own. There is no on your own. I mean, yes, you do the lion's share of the work, of course, but man, you need to have a million straws underneath you to help push you up.
And I think in a sense, you also learn who your real friends are too, the ones that are really going to get your back and support you through the process, right?
You sure do. But that's okay. Once again, like, it's just like everything else, you get a surprise here and there, but you also you cut away all the fat and you see exactly what's happening. So I don't know.
Which can be a good thing, right?
That's a good thing. Yeah. And when you're forced to have that kind of discipline and open your eyes a little bit, man, it's a big change in your life. So yeah, that's the big thing, is build that community, build that support, because you don't want to be alone. I mean, we talk about it a lot, how lonely entrepreneurship is. And I felt it. There's no question. It feels very lonely when you have to lay off your friends, when you that came to work for you, when you have to make these really hard decisions. It feels very lonesome. And so it's important to know that that's coming and that you need to build a network to support you to do that.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That's my advice.
No, it's great. It's great. Love it. So listen, I'm going to put all your social handles and everything down in the show notes. And again, I'm sure some listeners are going to want to buy a LavaBox. What's the website that they can go to purchase one?
Absolutely. Go to fireanytime.com. And I'm going to give you guys a discount code.
Here we go.
It's going to be Cinch15.
Cinch15. Love it. We'll put that in the show notes as well.
15% off your entire cart. And also, you're welcome to write into us at info@fireanytime, especially on entrepreneurs. If you have any questions or want to contact me, I'm happy to tell you whatever I know. It may not be very good advice, but I'll do my best to give you good advice. So
I think you've been giving great advice on here today too. So plus on your website, you do have some pretty amazing merch that's on there too. So you're going to have to get your hands on some of that.
Some naughty merch too. Yeah, there's good merch on there.
Well, hey, Josh, I just want to say thank you for being on the show. I mean, your insights, your stories, I mean, everything's been absolute fire today. So thank you for being part of this.
You've been saving that all day.
I have.
That's good.
I have.
Loved it.
Awesome.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Josh for being part of the show. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a comment, share with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next story of entrepreneurs grinding after hours. And this is the start of season 2, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Built After Hours podcast. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share with someone you know who is building after hours. Remember, be bold, take risks, and get results. See you next time.